What's up, freaks? Welcome back to the Progcast, presented by the Progspace. This is episode 51 this week. It is April 8th, Wednesday, April 8th. You'll be hearing this tomorrow on the 9th. And with me, as always, in the virtual studio at this point,
Dario from Freaks and the Progspace. From the other side of Munich. And I hope you guys are doing well and you have listened to our last episode, our anniversary 50th episode last week with our friend Abraham Sarachi.
Nailed it.
And this week we also have a very special guest joining us today, right, Randy?
That we do. Well, I think you will all know him as the singer and frontman of both Haken and Novena. Mr. Ross Jennings is with us on the line. Hey, Ross.
Hey, oh, come on, I'm not that special. Thank you for having me. It's really cool of you guys to feature me this week.
Yeah, it's the least we can do, I think, for the prog scene. It's what we can provide during this time where everybody has to stay at home, and this is a great opportunity for us to meet with people on the same at the same time, because everybody's lives are generally so busy. So this has actually been a nice time to like catch up with folks in the scene and check in on what they're doing. Before we go further, I mean, I think everybody listening to this already knows that Haken just dropped a new single, Prosthetic, from their upcoming album, Virus, which drops on June 5th at Inside Out. And Novena released their album, 11th Hour, back in March, on March 6th, I believe. So Ross has been a busy fellow this year. We're going to get into all of that soon. But Dario, what are we doing today?
Of course, we're eager to hear what Ross has to tell us about all these things. But before we jump into that, we also want to know what you've been listening to. So, Ross, what's in your Walkman?
What's in my Walkman?
Yeah,
I actually do still have cassettes, believe it or not.
Nice.
Cool. But well, obviously, as you know, I've been busy writing and recording and doing a lot of promo. So my Walkman's been collecting dust a little bit lately. However, I'm always kind of putting on stuff in the background. I mean, it's far be it for me to come on a prog show and talk about country music, but I do listen to a lot of stuff like that because it's just easy to listen to in the background, and it's essentially pop music. But there's some really cool progressive country artists out there, and one particular one I listen to a lot is Zach Brown.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Zach Brown Band. So, I mean, even if you're not into country music as such, I mean, there's one particular record called Jekyll and Hyde, which has a lot of variety for as country music goes. Even there's a track that features Chris Cornell, and he just incorporates quite a lot of different genres within the country spectrum and instrumentation. So, I mean, that's one I have on quite often.
That sounds quite intriguing.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because Ross and I have talked about this maybe a couple of years ago, because I mean, I grew up in South Carolina, and I mean, country music was part of my like upbringing. I actually wasn't allowed to listen to rock music, but country music was okay, I guess, because maybe that was like the Lord's music or something. I don't know. But so yeah, I have a big place in my heart for especially the country music of like the 70s and 80s, I would say. Once things were always kind of big in the country world, but I think in the 90s, when as I was getting older and like getting into grunge and stuff and metal and things, I kind of slipped away from the country world because it got very polished and commercial. Then as I got older again, I kind of like came back to those old, records I grew up with, like, I don't know, like, I mean, definitely anything Hank Williams Jr. or Reba McEntire and stuff like this. So from this era. So I often, like you, I think I often have like playlists on the background of like 70s country stars. I don't know, stuff like that. So very, very cool. I look forward to checking out the artists you mentioned.
So yeah, any particular song you want us to put on the Spotify playlist for this episode?
Well, Jump Right In is like one of his famous tracks. I'm just trying to think of one of the more progressive tracks. Maybe that one with Chris Cornell, or just called "Heavy As the Head." Yeah, with Chris Cornell. Really cool song.
Very cool title to it. Kind of has a Catatonia vibe to it.
Right. So, Randy, what's in your Walkman?
Actually, I've been listening to an album from 2019 that we talked about last week because we were talking about music videos, and it's Feather Mountain's Nidus album. We were talking about the music video they did for In Passing, I believe.
Yeah.
And totally, I don't know if Ross, if you've seen that music video or heard that, but really, really beautiful music video with like crazy color and water, and actually the framing is kind of funny because it's like in 4:3 instead of 16:9. I know I keep mentioning the aspect ratio thing, but I found that kind of interesting that they chose that. It's a little bit more of a photographer's framing.
I went to film school. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I kind of nerded out about it last week on the show, and I don't know if I felt a little silly. But yeah, I mean, and I mean, you're a photographer, Ross, so I think that you might see this, and that it kind of reminds me of like medium format framing somehow. I don't know. Right. So very cool video, but very cool album from those guys. I think they're from Denmark. Is that correct, Dario?
Yeah.
And it's got kind of a dreamy, kind of modern prog. Yeah, it's something unique. I think the vocals have a lot of variety, and I've really been digging it.
Yeah, the cool thing was that it kind of fit with the new "This Is Not an Elephant" video, and that was like a cool connection.
And the nice thing is that the guys wrote me on our YouTube channel to say that they liked our music video too, and so we kind of connected that way. So I mean, that's certainly how I got even more connected to the album. But but that's how it goes, right?
Yeah, super cool. Any specific track that stood out for you?
Maybe just do the second track, "Guilt to the Absent" Part 1. Because the music video we shared last week, so maybe on the playlist you can check out something else. Yeah. But very cool band. Dario, what is in your Walkman?
Actually, I've been saving this for today, I have to admit, because I wanted to mention it while we have Ross here with us.
Uh-oh.
And it's a very new band from Germany. They're called Astromera, with the second A has like this little circle on top, like the Scandinavian letter. And the reason why I wanted to mention it when we have Ross on the show is because the two main guys behind that band, Patrick and Simon, I know them from Night of the Prog back in the day when Haken were playing Night of the Prog a couple of times, like between 2010 and 2015. You guys played like 3 or 4 times the Night of the Prog, right?
Correct.
And they were part of what Peter Hanschel, Richard's dad, used to call the famous German front row.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I also saw the guys were certainly also there for the show with Headspace in Rüsselsheim, where I also was. So they're more from I don't know, Frankfurt, middle of Germany region. So they have a new band that's called Astromera, and they have an EP out. It's called Into the Wild, and it's super cool stuff. Also, you might hear some Haken influences there, here and there, and I'm just gonna put the opening track called Time Warp into the playlist. definitely check that out. And actually, for the listeners today, for us tomorrow on Thursday, we have a single music video premiere at the Progspace from Norwegian band called Manes. They are actually, I wanted to say that, Feather Mountain are confirmed for Prog Power Europe, provided hopefully it will go forward in October. And Manes are also going to play there. They're a weird Norwegian band that started out as black metal, as so many of them, and now
so
play some very unique, dark electronic, I don't know, experimental stuff. And we are premiering their brand new single at the Progspace tomorrow, Thursday, April 9th, and it's gonna be the general release is gonna be on Friday, and the single is called Young Skeleton.
Very cool.
So that was the Walkman section, and now to the important part. Last Friday there was a huge drop of a single, and the day before you guys been teasing us like mad with the little clip at the end of the of the YouTube video of the London show.
First of all, whose idea was that actually? Where did that come from? That idea to like add this at the very end of that show, Ross?
This was actually our record label thought it would be a cool idea to tease the fans. So it really wasn't coming from us.
Oh, interesting.
But it was, we agreed that was kind of a fun thing to do, to see if actually people would stay till the end and the whole thing. So that was cool.
I think the nice effect that it probably had is for those people that maybe couldn't watch it to the end, the ones who did started writing all over social media like, hey, what was that at the end? And then everybody goes back and watches the rest of the video, Well,
what we hadn't accounted for was people were, the Shazam, the app, you can find out what a song is, what the title is and where it's from. So people were putting their phones up to the audio,
for the intro
part. For the intro part, and it had already been registered into their database. So, people, the clever ones, the day before, had figured out the name of the song, what it was, what the album was called. We just hadn't foreseen that.
There were screenshots of from people in New Zealand. From Apple Music, where the whole album, all the album titles and song length, and so where the single was already out. Like once it was out, it was not even near Friday here in Western Europe, let alone the Americas, and everybody was going crazy. Some people. Who couldn't wait, of course, use a VPN then and to hear it. I
had quite a few personal messages with this screenshot saying, "Is this a joke? Is this
April Fools?"
Right. Understandably, obviously, given the title of the record, that it may have caused some sort of questionable nature, but
of course the song we're talking about, the single that dropped, everybody of course knows, but it was Prosthetic, which is the opening track from the new album. And Ross, may I ask, this year everything has been like thrown out of whack. You guys had to cancel your tour early with Devin Townsend. So many things probably had to go into factoring the release of this record. Did any of this stuff affect the release date of it?
No, actually, I've seen a lot of speculation online about did we bring it earlier because of the virus, or did it get pushed? Or anything. Actually, the initial plan was to have it done and released, I think in February. But things got delayed, and just by the normal run of things.
Right.
We pushed it back to June. It was always going to be June the 5th. And the video had been planned for ages, and So yeah, it really was going to be a case that we were going to finish the tour, do Cruise to the Edge, and then the next day announce the record. It just so happens that everything's in between has unfolded, but.
And of course, there is certainly this sort of dream theater moment. I mean, I remember when the live scenes from New York came out, and I remember buying a copy of the record, which had the Big Apple and the skyline, including World Trade Center in flames.
Right.
And certainly you guys are having a moment like that too. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we do get it. And the synchronicity of it all is just crazy, actually. But the thing with Virus is we had this vector virus concept idea when we started the whole the writing process of Vector. So we'd actually planned out the next two records and the titles already, you know. So the fact that this is happening now is just, I mean, whether people want to believe it or not, it's just crazy coincidence.
Yeah.
And I know no one's heard the whole album yet, but when I'm looking at some of the lyrics that I've written, because virus on the album is basically a metaphor for other things, so it's not actually about a virus spreading like in the literal sense, but
right.
I was using a lot of metaphors about being in isolation and things like spreading out of proportion and people dying, you know, for the name of something they have no control of, and yeah, it's scary. Like a lot of these lyrics on the record are really going to resonate with people. When
you guys started working on Vector, probably in 2017 or so. Did you write both records in one go, or did you just have the big broad concept in mind, and then just did Vector and then Virus later, or how did the songwriting process go?
Yeah, somewhere in the middle actually. We'd actually mapped out the two records in terms of what the narrative was going to be and what it was going to say, and a lot of the titles as well. Initial ideas and what was going to happen in those songs. Back at the end of, I guess we started writing demos at the end of 2017 when we were doing the Shattered Fortress, but it was really kind of early 2018 when we kind of penciled all that other stuff in. And the focus was on Vector musically, but we'd had all these demos and riffs and ideas, vocal melodies, sort of on tape. The stuff that was we thought at the time was the better stuff was kept for Vector. Okay. And then we had a lot of this leftover demos that we were going to develop later for Virus. And it wasn't until actually we were on the road with Devin, the European tour. We sat every night on the tour bus and almost started the whole album from scratch just on the tour bus. And the result of that of us being all together has created this much better record than we anticipated in the first place. So we're really happy with part two, so to speak.
Interesting. So that was last fall, like
October, it was just
November.
Yeah, exactly. It was this intensive month creative energy that was just flying around, and such a great time. Yeah.
Awesome. And so then you once you came home from that Empath Europe Volume 1 tour, you just went straight to the studio, or what?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So it was all kind of done by January, and that's the story of the writing process.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's fair to say that if a record is done by January, a February release date is a little bit utopic.
Yeah, the label gave us a chance at the very last minute to pull the album because of the title. We wanted to stay true to our initial kind of concept and ideas. We didn't want to throw away all that work, and it would have meant, pulling production and delaying the album a few months, and we just wanted to get everyone to hear the record, and hopefully people will understand and look past the irony of having a record called Virus.
Ross, do you mean like you would have changed then the title or some of the context of the lyrics or what's happening in the album? Is that what you might have redid if you would have?
I think the title was up for speculation.
Yeah.
But we wanted to stay true to our art, so to speak.
Mm.
And I don't think, in 10 years' time, whatever, people aren't going to be so sensitive about it, I don't think. Maybe. There's a lot of, obviously, tragic stuff going on, but, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would say it's hard for me also to say what the right thing to do is, but I actually remember, I was in New York for 9/11, and I remember, I was at that show, actually, the Scenes from New York show, and I remember buying the record, and I remember the Dream Theater being in Rolling Stone because of this situation, and I thought, well, that's why they get into Rolling Stone, is because of this silly album cover thing. And I remember being a little disappointed that they changed the album cover because they didn't mean for it, you know what I mean? So and I thought that the irony of it, the like zeitgeistiness of it, also somehow had this relevance, in this moment. So, and also, taking down the World Trade Center from the album cover also kind of deletes the history of it in a way. And so, to me, as being somebody that lived there, was there for that event, I don't know.
It's
I can understand
self-censorship.
Yeah, I can understand why they did it, and it was certainly a sensitivity. And that was a really crazy time. But
yeah, for sure.
So I don't want to applaud is the wrong word to use here, but I think you made a right choice to go with what you had because this wasn't planned, and I think otherwise, backtracking, I don't know, like you said, it could have hindered the vision you had. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, but Virus is not the only album from 2020 with your vocals, Ross. You want to tell us a little bit about 11th Hour? It was released about a month ago, and actually we would have seen each other last Friday. Actually, would have been the release show, and I had tickets, I had flights and stuff. I would have been there.
I was really looking forward to it, man. I was a bit worried, actually. Because the day before we would have been flying back from Cruise to the Edge. So I was really nervous about how jet lagged I was going to be for the show. But none of that obviously happened in the end. But it certainly looks like I've been busy, but the actual fact is we recorded that record, the 11th Hour, at the end of 2017.
Oh wow!
So I was tracking vocals. I think it was December 2017 when we actually did everything. I think we did some overdubs in January of 2018. But so that we've been sitting on that record without a label for quite some time, and we didn't want to just put it out without any support, without really having a infrastructure in place to promote this stuff we were really proud of, so we wanted to make this big impression as a new band and wait for the right people to come along, and obviously we got the attention of Frontiers.
Interesting match, to say the least.
For sure. If you look at their repertoire, they're known for a lot of hair metal stuff
and AOR.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm a fan of as well. But
rock, sure. It's nothing wrong with that.
No, and we thought obviously that would stand us out in certainly in their market. Perhaps. They gave us a good offer to promote us, and I think it's been a good relationship so far with them, and we've really got the stuff out there, and the music we're really proud of. yeah, I don't know what else to say at the moment.
So how do you approach Novena stuff in comparison to Haken stuff? Is there a difference for you?
Sure. So obviously, some people are going to draw a lot of similarities, not just because of my voice, but because it's progressive metal, and there's it goes on a lot of tangents. Actually, the spirit of the record does remind me of the first two albums of Haken, the Aquarius and Visions era.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also so much more to it.
Of course, and obviously another big difference for me was, and I was adamant about this, was that there was a clear distinction that Novena would be a 2-vocalist project.
Yeah.
So that kind of separates from what I do with Haken, doing the sole frontman. That there's shared duties, and it's a lot more growl heavy. We have spoken word, and generally the Haken music these days is a little bit more song focused.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Whereas Novena are embracing that culture of exploring tangents and long guitar solos in different genres, which I love.
And I took it to the extreme.
And I think that's the nature Haken have progressed, and I'm loving that as well. But I'm also holding on to this kind of crazy, if you listen to Corazon, for example, and we go into this Latin beats and piano riffs and then screams, and it's just completely chaotic. But it's definitely up my alley. Hopefully that has come across, and that people can differentiate the two projects in that way.
I think so. Yeah.
And in terms of your time with the bands, obviously Haken is the longer standing project, and your your commitments to that are probably different. But of course you were out pushing the new Novena record really hard. How much of your time do you kind of split between the two projects? How do you keep your headspace clear for each, not only artistic side but also business side?
Yeah, so I've been known up to this point to take over a lot of the admin and back office roles in Haken. I don't know if people were aware of that. Really, it's not really public, but obviously we're getting to a stage now where we're requiring a bit more of a team to help us out with those kind of things. But certainly for a long time, for example, I was running the Haken merch store and handling a lot of the finances and things like that. So I don't have to do any of that kind of thing with Novena. That's just taken over by Harrison for now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Actually, my role initially with Novena was a singer for hire, with for the original EP.
Yeah, secondary Genesis.
It was kind of just secondary Genesis. Yes, I was just kind of brought on as a helping hand in a way, and then I became very attached to the vibe of the group, the personalities and the skill set everyone had in the band, and I became very attached to that kind of sense of hunger that I felt when we started Haken, and which is all very exciting, So we decided to kind of make this a full band and go ahead like that, and that's cool. But yeah, everyone on both sides are very clear about how Haken is the number one priority for me, and it doesn't at the moment. It hasn't affected each other at this point, but I'd like to think that I will be able to balance. If Mike Portnoy can balance 86 bands as he called it, then I'm sure I can handle 2. But yeah, we'll see how that pans out. See how people respond to the record, and we're already talking about a second one. So having those early conversations now. So yeah, we will see.
So how was the reception of 11th Hour from your perspective?
From my perspective, it looks great. I haven't seen sales figures or anything like that yet. But I don't really care at this point. I just want to see like the good responses people have shown, and yeah, it seems to be that it's been positively received from what I can gather.
Yeah,
it's an excellent record.
It is, and I know a lot of people actually were to fly to London to the release show from all over the world. From all over Europe, most certainly, and I know of one guy who had flights from America, from the States.
I mean,
even so,
for the first record with you all together, this is a great achievement.
Yeah. No, it's sad, obviously, that this still happened, but obviously we had to close down our cities. It was the right thing to do, and we'll hopefully be able to put this on again. We've technically postponed it, we haven't cancelled it. So when we can put something in the books, we'll make sure that show happens.
But either way, I won't ask for a refund of the ticket. It was 10 euros. Come on.
Oh my God.
But speaking of which, how was it when you had to wrap up the tour in the States earlier than how can I cannot really imagine how that must have been like touring or being on tour, and like probably for a couple of days that there must have been a kind of uncertainty if the tour is gonna be able to finish and stuff. How was that?
I mean, if I recall correctly, obviously this tour was going great, by the way, and we were on track to at least break even financially, and we were selling loads of merch and making all these new fans, and we were just loving being on the road with Devin, such a lovely chap, and the whole band actually were legends. And we had a day off actually the day before it was cancelled. We were in Nashville. Funnily enough, bringing the country theme back.
Yeah.
Anyway, we woke up in I think it was a Walmart car park in Nashville, and none of the tour managers had said anything or hinted anything to us.
No talk of that the days prior.
No, there was nothing, and so we woke up kind of getting ready to, okay, in an hour we'll be setting off and going to the venue. The bus driver comes in and he's like, "Tour's off, lads." I was like, "What?" we thought he was joking with us, and he's explaining how the main band have gone home already. So Devin was back in Canada, already as we were waking up. They'd made a decision overnight, basically, while we were asleep, and called it off. And we were trying to contact everyone to figure out if this thing was true, if it was just pulling our leg, or it could have been the ultimate tour prank, Yeah. But obviously, at the same time, the virus was becoming more evident on the media, and so the dots started to join, and eventually we did get hold of the people we needed to, and found out that was the truth. So yeah, we just suddenly, just like that, bang, the tour was off, and we had to kind of make emergency contingency plans to get home, and lost a lot of money on flights and various other things. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, but we just got an emergency ticket home for everyone. And been picking up the pieces ever since, but it was really sad because we were having such a great time.
You were on the roll, right?
It was really good, really good.
You were able to play 2 of the headline shows, right?
Right, yeah, and we were actually, because they were almost. They were fantastic. Yeah, really enjoyed those, and we were looking forward. We were kind of building that up to like the Cruise to the Edge performance, where it's going to be a super special one in the theatre. And but yeah, I'm glad we got to do it twice, and like Bound by Gravity is one of my favorite kind of Haken ballads to perform, and we'd never done that before, and it's kind of made this big thing about it, and only ever got to do it twice, so it's a real shame. But yeah, we'll have to see if that can be done again as well. Yeah.
And in terms of the financial loss, there were some crowdfunding efforts going around to help you guys out after the fact. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, that was arranged purely by the fans. We didn't ask for anything. So like, I can only put out the message to everyone that we, from the bottom of our hearts, we're really grateful for that support. Because we did lose a hell of a lot of money on that, and as a lot of bands did. And I can see, like, across the board, a lot of artists are getting real good support from music lovers. So yeah, we thank you sincerely for any support, even if it's just streaming our music more than usual. It all kind of helps. Buying our merch from the store. There's a funny one, actually, not funny, but we had this kind of merch delivery on the day that the tour got cancelled. So we had like $4,000 worth of merch arriving in Nashville on that day. so that was an immediate, not a loss. Obviously, we had the assets, but that all that merch now is up online, so people can purchase those T-shirts and all that's kind of helping claw back some of the losses we've
that just reminds me of when we were talking about the release date being pushed back or not because of the situation, because I think I saw that Enslaved pushed back their release date because they were afraid if they release it now before summer or something, that with shipping and postal services there could be a delay and stuff. So I think they postponed it to the fall or something.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the case. I mean, perhaps even for our record, I'm not sure. But Sony Music have been adamant that they don't want to postpone the releases. They still want to get music to the people, and even if physical media is delayed somewhat, at least we have streaming services and downloads and whatnot to fulfill that market. So, and I agree with that decision. I don't think a year we don't even know how long this is going to go on for. Yeah. So like a year without music's going to be horrible, without new music. I think I think we're all understanding and patient enough for our coloured vinyls to arrive.
And maybe it is a chance for an increase in streaming. Not that a loss of physical is better for streaming, but more just that people are home and maybe have more time to invest in listening to music and stuff. So maybe there's a little bit of a boom there for the streaming at least.
Also tying in with the streaming and the effects of the worldwide situation we're in. Have you guys been a little bit in the loop, or did you see the sudden surge of live streams actually from a lot of bands on various mediums like Facebook, Instagram, Twitch? Like suddenly everyone has a Twitch account.
I was going to say the same thing. I still don't know what it is.
Novena was going to do your show. You were going to do your Novena concert live, weren't you, or as a live streaming event?
Yeah. So before London got a complete lockdown, there was still a possibility for us to go into the venue and perform to just cameras, an empty room, and stream that live. So that was the contingency at the time. But then, the rest is history. The city got locked. The city got locked down. No one could even get into London really. So, so that was the idea. But sure. I mean, all these musicians that are normally very busy on the road are now suddenly at home twiddling their thumbs. Like you're going to see a lot of content now, I think.
I remember the last concert I've been to here in Munich was Mirath.
Okay.
And they played one day after that. They played Leipzig still, and then their tour was also cancelled. And then I think everywhere in all tours were cancelled. Let me check quickly when that was.
While you're looking for that, I actually wanted to say I actually saw Enslaved play live on.
Yeah,
they were a part of a festival in Bergen. There wasn't any audience.
Online music festival.
Yeah, but they had this really cool indoor stage set up with with an LED screen for the band's name and stuff, and really great sound and video quality, and a very cool concert without anybody there. So it was like a bit like a rehearsal, a polished rehearsal in a way. But this was pretty cool. I don't know how they managed to do that. I guess maybe Bergen is not really locked down in the same way because, of course, there were camera operators there. There's there's certainly people there facilitating such an event. But I thought that was a really cool idea, and I think it was a broad mix of genres. I don't think it was just metal or something. So I think it was a lot of music.
It was really. Yeah, absolutely. The Mirth gig here in Munich was on March 11th, and then the following weekend we on the Saturday, I think it was on your birthday where you Randy where your birthday party should have been.
Yeah. My birthday was canceled too.
In the matter of 48 hours, we did. Oh, this also ties in with Haken actually. In the matter of 48 hours, we managed to set up a live streaming concert for the band End of Scream from the Czech Republic with Tomáš Stepanek on the violin. They have two violin players, and Tomáš is the one who does all the violin Haken covers. Ross,
of course,
I'm sure you've seen those. I think he just uploaded the whole of Visions. Of the song. I think he did the whole song of Vision. And I think he uploaded it yesterday or 2 days ago. I still have to watch that.
Oh, wow.
It was the very beginning of this period of this time, and like countries one by one went into lockdown, like France and the UK and also Germany. All the other countries followed, or most of the countries. And I remember back then when we had this live streaming show from the guys in End of Scream, I thought, we should do like more stuff like this in the coming weeks because all the tours are canceled. And I remember I was really excited about presenting more of this stuff, and then suddenly it developed like an avalanche by itself, that suddenly I had, without the Progspace being involved in, or without even having the time of presenting anything, the artists themselves, they were so busy doing these live streams that sometimes I had the feeling, or it's still going on, that I have like 2 or 3 live streams I have to choose from each evening.
Yeah.
So, and then I saw, the market got saturated quite quickly.
I mean, certainly from I think from a music industry side, I think that this is going to have an effect on there's certainly people watching that development and seeing how it plays out and seeing what new markets could be created from live streaming events. So I expect we'll be seeing more of that in the future, even when things are opened back up and back to normal. Ross, leading up into June 5th now, what do you guys have planned, or what you can tell us, like what your thoughts are about what you'll do leading up to the release of the album, given things being in lockdown?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Obviously, we want to keep to our release schedule, so we have a couple more singles that will be dropped some point, and new videos. What tends to happen around this time is we'll be asked to do a lot of interviews and things like that. So, and a lot of press.
Like you're doing right now.
Like I'm doing right now. Actually, this is the first. Virus related. It's the first for me anyway. But aside from that, I think there's just going to be a lot of talks about what's going to happen going forward after virus and planning tours when they can be done. And I don't have actually any information about other content at this point. So, but I know that obviously I spoke earlier about Novena having like murmurings of what might happen next. So that will be a focus for me at least. Yeah.
And what's the future of the festival circuit looking like? I mean, are you guys? Did you have stuff planned, scheduled that is kind of hanging in the balance now?
Radar, right.
Right, so we had probably about 10 to 15 maybe festivals, or at least festivals and shows kind of mixed in the kind of June, July area. Now a few of those have been cancelled, including Download Festival in the UK. I think Comendatio Festival in Portugal was like one we were looking forward to because we'd never been there. And a few others I forget now. But
Radar is still in the air, right?
Radar is still in the air. I'm not certain what's going on there. So we I think like obviously that means it's looking like all those festivals are probably going to cancel, and we'll just have to pull the plug on that, which is fine because we didn't announce anything, but it's very frustrating because. Well, with the new record being out in June, we were just hoping to go out there all guns blazing and play to new crowds and these big festivals, and that fallen flat on its face right now. So we'll just hold on for 2021, I guess, on that front. We'll see what happens later in the year. Everything's changing by the day, isn't it? So
yeah. There's actually one other thing I wanted to talk about with you, Ross, and that is the 10th anniversary of Aquarius.
All right, sure.
It was like 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago.
29th of March, I believe.
Yeah,
the original release date. Yeah.
Yeah, I got my good friend James Carstairs to write a little special feature on the Progspace. Be sure to check that out if you haven't. Cool. So. And how do you feel about it? I certainly remember when I saw you guys for the first time at Prog Power Europe 2010, and I discovered you guys same as with Leprous the same year when you were announced for Prog Power Europe in 2010, and then I went to check out Aquarius and Tall Poppy Syndrome respectively, and well, I think I've seen you guys a couple of times between.
Just a couple.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Were you part of the famous German front row as well?
Not really. The funny thing is, I think the first time I saw you guys in Munich was probably the 10th time that I saw you was in Munich only. And I have seen you a lot of times before I saw you in my hometown. But no, I was not a part of the famous German front row because they were, as I said, they were more, in the middle of Germany. And but I was part of the famous German front row whenever you played Night of the Prog or something like that.
It's something I think we need to clear this up for people, don't we? Like Germany were one of the first countries to truly embrace us, and the front row of the German audiences were always pretty wild. And there was just familiar faces we would see every time that we played in certain cities and festivals in Germany. I think it all started at Night of the Prog, though. Very fun.
But actually, is it true that the Prog Power Europe 2010 was the first concert Haken gig outside of the UK? Do you remember?
It's a good question. Possibly. I remember it being really exciting. time. Maybe I don't know. Was it the same year as we did Prog? Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I think so. Yeah. But it was a long time ago now. I feel really old. I know it's only 10 years, but we've done a lot since then. It's crazy how much we've been able to fit in. Actually, I'm still really proud of that piece of work. To be honest, I mean, it was the first album I put out there on a label ever. And we, it was a very experimental time, and there was no expectations, so we were just free to express ourselves. And I just remember having this is a really good time writing that stuff with Richard, the early parts of that, and then getting together as a band. We had a regular Sunday meet up at the School of Music, and just fleshing that stuff out. And yeah, I mean, it's I guess for some people it's still their favorite record, and for others maybe it's not aged so well. I'm not sure, but it'll always be a special place in my heart. As cliches go.
So, do you ever feel like sad that you don't have as much time for your set list to put more Aquarius stuff in there? Or you did this kind of compromise in comprising the whole of Aquarius into the Aqua medley. Is there any stuff that you're kind of sad that you haven't performed it in a long time, like any specific songs or that you would love to pull out again at some point?
Oh, I'm sure we will. Like it was only a couple of years ago we were putting Eternal Rain in our set, and Celestial Elixir has been played countless times, and we've done that on Cruise to the Edge and a few special shows, and so it's not like that stuff's disappeared completely. I guess maybe it feels like it has, but yes. when you're putting a set list together, the whole thing has to flow, and there's something about the tracks on Aquarius. When you put one of those in a set list, it kind of staggers the flow of the night a little bit. So we have to consider those kind of things, ebb and flow of the night. One of my favorites is Drowning in the Flood. Have no doubt I will be persisting for that one to come back on a regular basis. So I just love singing that one.
What about Sun?
Yeah, well, let's say no more. It's a beautiful song, and
eternal question.
I mean, if you're technically speaking, we have performed it once. We did a show at the Kingston Pill. This was our home venue that we used to play when we were unsigned, and I think we did the whole of Aquarius live before we released it, and maybe it was like during the recording sessions. I can't remember exactly, but Sun was played on that night, and I think it had a slightly different ending, so it didn't have all the choir and chanting. It had something else, so it wasn't the true version of Sun, but it was played in some form, and then it was tidied up for the recording. But so yeah, technically we've played it once, but I'd like to bring it back at some point. Don't lose hope.
Okay. That's also generally speaking in these times, I think it's a good credo to go by. Don't lose hope. Cool. I think we're nearing the hour again, not the 11th hour, but the full hour.
I was going to make that joke earlier, but
maybe we can wrap it up with kind of a little brainstorm here about our favorite songs from the Haken discography.
I'm going to tease you all. Because the Messiah Complex suite, which features on the forthcoming record,
yes,
is one of the most insane pieces of music we've ever done.
Okay.
In a metal context, and I'll say no more. But I'm hoping that's gonna blow people's minds, especially live.
All right. And anything that is already released that I can put in the playlist?
Oh, good question.
Maybe also one from Novena for the playlist for your favorite 11th hour song.
So let's go with Sun for Haken.
Yeah.
Because that needs to be heard more often. And
Yes.
for Novena, let's go with... that's quite long. Maybe less. Well, hell with it. Prison Walls is just an insane piece of music. And it's one that was always giving me goosebumps when I listened to it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, enjoy the goosebumps.
Randy, you ready, or should I?
I would choose "Falling Back to Earth" as my Haken song.
Woo!
I mean, I would just say real quick that the album "The Mountain" is my. I mean, I knew of you guys long before "The Mountain" came out, but I didn't connect to your music actually until Jordan Rudis chewed my ear off about it one night, which is a kind of a cool story for how I really got into Haken was through Jordan.
Yeah, that's great.
We were out to dinner in Frankfurt during the Music Messes some years ago. I was filming with him, and we were just talking about music and stuff, and that was the thing he was listening to, and he was like, "Do you know Haken?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know them, but I never really listened." And he was like, "Okay, take this album home and call me tomorrow." And that's kind of how I started on my Haken journey, was back when The Mountain first came out. So
that's great. I mean, both Jordan and Mike obviously were instrumental in pushing that record for us. It's crazy. Obviously we went backstage to the Dream Theater show that year, and Jordan was so complimentary and just a beautiful person, And we felt very gracious of that kind of them getting our music to ears that might have just given it a pass, So,
definitely.
We owe a lot to them for sure. Yeah.
And in a very genuine way, I can attest to.
Yeah. Attest, yeah. You have a favorite song on the Novena record, Randy?
The Corazon. I mean, because this is just amazing. The use of the Spanish language as well in the track. Just having this extra element. I mean, I kind of blew my mind actually the first time I heard it. So.
All right, cool. As I said earlier in the show already, that I knew Haken and loved what you guys were doing since the very beginning. But for me, also, The Mountain was a particular standout thing. I don't know. The funny thing is, I felt a little bit. My expectations after Aquarius were so high that Visions kind of wasn't really able to live up to those insanely high expectations of myself. But then the Mountain knocked it all out of the park, so to speak. So I'm actually gonna go with Pareidolia. I remember when the music video was released and stuff. I was so excited, and yeah.
Sweet.
And since Ross, you already picked Prison Walls, I'm gonna go with the Sundance.
Ooh.
Yeah, very cool video too, by the way, for Sundance.
Yeah, thank you. That was all from Harrison's mind, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have a lot to do with that personally. But yeah, I agree. Just a beautiful choreography and just the way it was filmed. It flowed very nicely. Went well with the music. And
it was definitely the favorite of the three singles. But the other two, they fit well into the overall album flow. Absolutely. Yeah. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Exciting times for fans of Mr. Ross Jennings. Yeah, it was super cool to talk to you today, Ross.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time, Ross.
No, thank you guys. Obviously, just want to say what you guys are doing is fantastic for the scene, and just want you to keep doing what you're doing because, this was great fun today. Obviously, a lot of press I do is quite stale, so it's nice to have something conversational. Keep doing your thing, because all these great musicians need to get heard.
Absolutely. And I still have in the back of my mind that one day we're going to do a country music project together. But
count me in, baby.
We're gonna ask Einar to be part of it as well, right?
Sweet.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Ross. Appreciate having you on the air on the Progcast.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Well, that was another cool episode in our Progcast from the quarantine.
Yep, I guess it's going to keep on this way too for the next weeks at least. So we'll try to keep coming back to you with very cool, interesting guests like Ross. And Dario, stay safe and sane on your side of the city.
All right. You guys take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and keep your distance, wash your hands, and
listen to good music.
Listen to good music, right. That's a good way to close this off. Freaks out.
Freaks out. The Freaks Progcast, presented by the Progspace, is a production of Stuus Media and is recorded at the Moonbase Studios in Munich. The show is produced by Janine Stangl, Blake Lewis, Kai Metzner, Dario Albrecht, and myself, Randy M. Salo. Our theme music is provided by This Is Not an Elephant. Thanks for tuning in, freaks. See you next time. Freaks out.